Have you ever felt like the older you get, the more exhausted you become? Not because life is too difficult, but because deep inside, there is always an uneasiness that's hard to name. You try harder, earn more money, love more sincerely, sacrifice more, and yet, deep inside, you still feel empty. I lived like that for many years. I used to think, if only I were good enough, successful enough, worthy enough, then one day, life would finally give me happiness. But then I realized, there are people who seem perfectly fine on the outside, while inside, they are completely drained. And I was one of them. I remember a period of my life when I woke up every morning with a heavy feeling in my chest. I constantly worried about what others thought of me, afraid of failure, afraid of being left behind, afraid of not being loved. I was always trying to become a perfect version of myself, just to be accepted. But the harder I tried, the further I drifted away from myself. Until one day, I met a teacher. He didn't teach me how to make money. He didn't teach me how to become successful. The first thing he asked me was, "Do you know what is truly creating your life?" I thought it was circumstances, fate, the people around me. But he simply smiled and said, "It is the images inside your mind." I stayed silent for a long time. After hearing those words, he explained, according to the human life formula, the cause within a person is the mental images they carry. Every thought, every belief, every perspective we hold inside is a seed. If what fills your inner world is fear, self-doubt, resentment, and scarcity, then life will gradually reflect those very outcomes. But if what lives inside you is peace, gratitude, positivity, and love, then life will slowly begin to shift in that direction too. At that moment, I finally understood. All this time, I had wanted a happy life, yet my mind was filled with painful images. I kept telling myself, I'm not good enough. No one truly loves me. Life is unfair. So how could I possibly be happy? My teacher said to me, a good cause is not pretending to be positive. It is creating inner images that align with the life you truly desire. That sentence made me begin to look deeply at myself. I started asking myself, what do I truly want? I learned to observe my emotions, to notice the thoughts I repeated every day in my mind. And then, he led me to an even deeper realization. He asked, do you know what truth really is? I thought, truth meant honesty, being sincere and genuine. But he shook his head. He said, truth is that which does not change through time and space. I didn't understand. So he gave me a simple example. A house is real, but over time, it grows old. It breaks down. It changes. So a house is real, but it is not truth. Then he looked at me and continued. The human body is the same. This body is real, but it will age. It will get sick. It changes every single day. So this body is only temporary. I felt something inside me soften. Then he spoke about love. Ordinary love also changes. Sometimes there is more, sometimes less. As human needs change, feelings change too. I remember asking him, then is there anything in this world that lasts forever? He smiled gently and said, yes. Inside every person, there is something true. Reflect deeply and discover what it is. That night, I went home and cried for a long time, because for the first time, I realized my whole life I had been clinging to things that were always meant to change. Money changes, careers change, appearance changes, Relationships change. People's hearts change. And yet, I wanted everything to belong to me forever. And it was that attachment that caused my suffering. I was afraid of loss, afraid of change, afraid of being abandoned. My teacher once told me something that I still remember to this day. When the mind clings to what is constantly changing, suffering becomes inevitable. I had lived that way for years, always searching for something outside of myself to fill the emptiness inside, until one day, he asked me a strange question. Have you discovered the truth within yourself yet? I couldn't answer. He said, inside every person, there is a deeper truth. It is your inner hearing, your inner seeing, your inner speaking, your inner knowing. When you truly awaken to that, you will no longer live dependent on the outside world. From that day on, I began turning inward. I practiced sitting still, listening to myself, learning to be alone, without running away from my feelings. At first, it was very difficult, because only in silence could I finally see how much pain I had been carrying inside. There were sorrows I had never named, pressures I had always tried to hide, times when I smiled, but was only pretending to be strong. But the deeper I went within, the more I began to understand myself. And strangely, when I stopped trying to find my worth in the outside world, I began to feel lighter. I started to take ownership of my life. Then one day, my teacher told me a story. He said, long ago, humans and spirits once lived together. After a great conflict, humans drove the spirits away. To take revenge, the spirits decided to steal the truth from humanity. They debated where to hide it. One spirit said, let's hide it on the highest mountain. But another shook its head. Humans will eventually find it. Another said, hide it in the deepest ocean. But they thought, one day, humans will discover that too. Then, the Spirit King laughed and said, hide it in the deepest place of all, inside human beings themselves. Because humans will search the entire world for everything, but very few will ever turn inward. When I heard that, my heart fell silent, because I realized that story was the story of so many of us. We chase material things, recognition, status, temporary pleasures. We believe, if I could just have one more thing, then I'd finally be happy. But the more we search outside, the further we drift from the truth within ourselves. And that is why so many people have everything, yet still feel no peace. After this journey, I realized something important. True happiness is not when life stops changing. It is when there is a place inside you peaceful enough to return to. I no longer try to control everything. I no longer live to please everyone. I no longer place my worth in the eyes of others. I am learning to return to myself. And that is when my life truly began to transform. If you, too, are on the journey of rediscovering the truth within yourself, please comment *2** below. I will share more deeply about this inner truth in my upcoming videos. And if there is any wisdom you'd like me to share about inner transformation, leave a comment below. And don't forget to ** like, share, and ** subscribe, so that together we can continue this journey of returning home to ourselves.